In recognition of her 2 years as the first black woman and openly lesbian mayor of Chicago, Lori Lightfoot offered one-on-one interviews to reporters, but she restricted the offer only to reporters of color, setting off a nationwide debate.
If I, as the black woman mayor, the first ever, don't challenge us, the collective us, to do better, then shame on me.
Mayor Lori Lightfoot knew exactly what she was doing when she sent letters exclusively to black and brown reporters, asking if they would like one-on-one interviews.
The move infuriated the mostly white City Hall press corps. The outrage exploded on Twitter.
In a letter defending the move, Lightfoot wrote, "I have been struck since my first day on the campaign trail back in 2018 by the overwhelming whiteness and maleness of Chicago media." For the most part, her move prompted thoughtful discussions in newsrooms around Chicago.
This could be a catalyst, though, to change in the media.
But not all reporters were on board. A Latino reporter from the Chicago Tribune declined an invitation, citing the exclusive provision. And then there was Fox.
I don't know whether to ask you whether or not this is unconstitutional or just simply immoral.
I think Lightfoot is billing this as anti-racist. Actually seems very disturbingly neo-racist.
The National Association of Black Journalists weighed in too, saying NABJ's history of advocacy does not support excluding any bona fide journalists from one-on-one interviews with newsmakers. Still, the mayor definitely got people thinking.
And was it the best way to do it, to exclude people? Hey, I'm not here to say, but I think the conversation needs to be had, and right now is a great time to have it.
Can't argue with that. Well, Dan, when I first heard this, I thought, wow, that's odd. And then I realized that this was the whole point, the whole mission. I mean, we're talking about it. Newsrooms all over America are talking about it. Not that we don't talk about it anyway, we do. It's a regular ongoing discussion. But this has really brought it to the forefront. And people are looking at their on-air people, their staffs, and everything else to say, hey, maybe we do need a better balance here. Whether this was the right way to go about it, I don't know, but it was effective.
And no, you're right. I mean, this has brought it to sort of a national conversation of what has been going on in newsrooms across the country of late. I think good intentions here, no doubt, right? There is a major problem, especially at some of these more high-profile positions in newsrooms, whether it's covering the mayor or at the higher levels, covering the White House. You often have non-minorities who are in those positions. We've seen a lot of growth, though, in that area. But I think when it comes to how it was executed, that's where you can actually give her some either failing marks or certainly lower marks, because it really isn't the way to go about it, right? And it also comes off as kind of a trick. There have been people who've criticized it that, it doesn't really appear as if it's something that's very authentic, but really you're just doing this to get attention to a bigger problem. Again, an important problem that needs the spotlight on it. But the way she went about it, I thought, was the wrong way. And that's supported, as you pointed out, by the NABJ, which is saying, yes, we do have a problem, but this is not the way to solve it.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to think that this was a conversation worth igniting. It's only a single day. As journalists, I understand why our preference is always more access, not less. But it's not as if she said, I'm going to do this for months. It's a single day where she's asked to be only interviewed by people of color. And I think, we do talk about this issue a lot, but it's not really improving, right? Especially in the political press. It is still extremely white, extremely male dominated. And I think that is, to some degree, part of a legacy of thinking that people of color, because they want basic human rights, can't cover political issues impartially. And that is just absolutely false on every level. And, if Mayor Lightfoot thought that by asking people of color to interview her, she was going to get softball interviews, that could not be further from the truth. So I sort of feel like the reality here is that she drew attention to something that's meaningful. It's only one day. And also, Fox doesn't have a problem with Governor DeSantis signing a bill only on Fox News, but it has a problem with this. Was that unconstitutional? Give me a break.
Yeah, I want to.
No, and I think that Susie's right. I think that black and brown journalists will go just as hard on her 2-year anniversary as any other journalist would. Look, this is not the first time that an elected official has shut out reporters. I think it's the first time that I can remember based on race and this argument and discussion. Remember, though, this is a politician, too. This is a political move in part. She is a mayor who said she got elected to shake things up, and this is one of the things she is shaking up. She is the mayor of a city that's more than half minority. I think it'll play very well with voters. I'm not sure with the media. I agree with Dan. I think she personally mishandled it. I don't think the way for inclusion is exclusion. I think what she should have done was sat down with news directors and editors and bent their ear and say, this is time for change. We need this to happen. And I think maybe she would have gotten into some other discussions with them that she needs to get into because of the problems she's been having with media in Chicago.
So we need some context here. Just let me refresh your memory that this has been an ongoing issue, period, for journalists of color in whatever arena they cover. We most hear about it with entertainment reporters. I just remind you that when Spike Lee came out with Malcolm X, he made the same request. Oh, big uproar. And he pointed out, however, that many of the same people uproaring always ask for certain people and only give those interviews to certain people. Hey, if we're honest, we know these political reporters have people that they only get the exclusives for. Hey, they work for it. They got the beat. All right. But just accept that this does happen, that there are exclusivities going on all the time. What she said was make it out loud. And as Susie has pointed out, it was for a day to make a point about it. I'm fascinated about the use of inclusion and exclusion depending on, obviously, who's saying it. So, you know, when you have a situation with entertainment reporters who were told they didn't have enough slots for African-American reporters to cover Girls Trip, which, by the way, was all black folk in the script. I mean, this is what we are, people. So she gets to see it. And by the way, Mike, I would disagree. It's not her job to sit down with news directors and tell them how to do this. It is her job to raise the issue. Now, let's also make one point, though. We know politicians also are doing something for themselves. So there's probably a little something else in there that we need to pay attention to. But overall, you know, this was a point that needed to be discussed.
It wouldn't have been public, too, if she'd sat down with just the news directors.
There you go.